As we leave the ferry, we're back in Nova Scotia after 2 weeks exploring Newfoundland. In this week's video, we're going to be visiting Louisbourg, the fortress over on the east coast of Cape Breton. Now you will notice in this video we're referring to it as Louisbourg. We've since learned that that was wrong and it should be pronounced Louisbourg, so we're sorry about that. We're Sarah and Ben. Welcome back to Diamonds on Tour. Well, that was a very good night here at Louisbourg. We're here because this morning we're going to go and visit the fortress, which is just here. We've had a fabulous night on this car park just next to the boardwalk and the shipping port, and we're just a couple of minutes away from the fortress, which is just the other side of the town. Join us there. When I first came to edit this video, I found that I'd actually deleted or lost the files from today's trip to Louisbourg, so we didn't include it in the video in the timeline when we were actually in that part of Cape Breton. However, since that we have found the video files, so we're going to include it now. So it's a little bit out of sync, the grass isn't as green as it really is today, but you know, it was such a great day, we thought we'd share it with you today. So the fortress of Louisbourg, it is closed for visiting inside the buildings, but it's open for just wandering around outside, and it is very spectacular. All the buildings were rebuilt in the 20th century in order to preserve the fortress in its current condition. So these buildings are not what remain from many years ago, but they are a faithful reproduction of what was here a long time ago. Now this building's the toilet block, modern edition of course, you need these sort of amenities. It's interesting to see that the toilet block has its very own Starlink dish. Empty car park, we are the only visitors here. This was a 100-bed hospital, 4 wards, and it had an apothecary and everything else that you need for a hospital. It was the second largest building at the fortress. Now there was a religious order here called the Brothers, and so this was the Brothers Hospital, and they had a mandate that only men were allowed to be treated here, so the soldiers from the barracks and so on. Women had to be treated at home. Now these buildings, you can see the state of the ruins here. I'm guessing that the whole of this fortress would have been like this before it was restored earlier in the 20th century. So this gives you an idea of what it probably would have looked like those years ago. Now this is the location of the Moor Pass Gate. The picture down there depicts what it would have been, and this is where it was located, with the walls of the fortress either side. So this memorial was erected in memory of American, English and French soldiers who gave their lives for their country, 1745 to 1758, erected by the General Society of Colonial Wars. Now this is the location of the headland, which is the main sort of fortified original fort that was protecting the port of Louisbourg from the ocean. You can see how fierce the ocean is, and then out here this way into the entrance to the harbour, which has got the lighthouse over there protecting it, and then the much calmer waters of the harbour right over there. And this was one of the most important harbours in the whole of the Americas during the 18th century. You can see the modern town over the other side, which is where we camped last night. Well, quite interestingly, we are the only visitors here today, and one of the staff has just driven down and found us. Apparently she'd been looking around the site to find out where we were, because she's just let us know that there's a load of police cars and military people, because they found some unexploded ordnance. Obviously this is an old military site, and apparently all the time they find explosives way back from a couple of hundred years ago, and they're doing a controlled explosion of some very small mortars. She's just little mortar shells that they've found. So at the moment the road in and out is closed, and she just wanted to let us know that if we need to leave, we won't be able to for a few minutes. Fascinating, that stuff still goes on even today. It looks like they've done a really nice job of restoring these old buildings. Now, we were wondering what these huge timber structure was, this fabulous fence with an amazing gateway in it down there, and it turns out it is actually a massive sea defence. So I imagine this has been built in the way that the original defence would have been built. What a lot of timber they've used to build this. What an amazing construction. Let's go down a bit further and have a look at more of it. We just mentioned this sea defence that's out here made of timber. This gate is absolutely magnificent and very, very French in its style. You can just imagine way back a couple hundred years ago, a ship docks just the other side of here, the gates open, and the admiral or the dignitaries come off their ship to visit the fortress of Louisbourg. Fascinating place. And all these buildings down here. Really sad that we can't go in here at this time of year, but these are all set out inside as the way they would have lived inside back in the day.
This magnificent and vast building is the barracks. Now, the whole of this site has been pretty much reconstructed starting in the 1960s and then finished in the 1980s. The project itself cost $25 million, which to me actually doesn't sound that much for such a massive, massive place. But that was a lot of money in the 1960s, and only a quarter of this site has actually been excavated and rebuilt. We'll be able to overlay some photographs of this building and this site from the 1960s before they started the reconstruction. So all these buildings here represent a quarter of the town of Louisbourg as it was then, and in the summer months they have reenactments, costume guides. Oh, and you're able to rent out some of these properties to be able to stay in as well, much like the National Trust do in the UK. Forgive me for reading this, but as a fishing port, military base and centre of commerce, Louisbourg briefly shared front-rank importance in France's overseas empire. Home to a transplanted European civilization, it flourished for less than half a century. And then it was extinguished by military conquest. None of its structures survived the next 2 centuries. Louisbourg was abandoned after 1763, and it became the only major colonial town without a modern city built on top of it. At either end of the barracks I can see prison cell iron windows, and apparently the cells are one of the places that you can rent to stay in. Not sure I'd want to do that, but yeah. I don't think it'd be one of these. These are all open to the elements. Oh, look. Huh? Well, looks like it could have been a fire over that side. See? And a drain running down the middle. What's interesting here is that these cannons and the defences are pointing inland, so it wasn't just attacks from the sea they were concerned about, it was attacks coming from inland. That's the lookout post. I'm not going down there because there's a blooming great pile of snow and ice. You can just see the soldiers from the garrison keeping watch, marching along here day and night. It says here that this is the spot of Canada's first observatory, 1750, and I think a shout out to the gentleman who came over from France. He was a French astronomer called Joseph Bernard de Chabert de Coquelin. Pardon if I've said that really badly. And he was the Marquis de Chabert. He was sent over to North America to determine the longitude of Louisbourg and to correct the maps of present-day Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Oh, look at the colour of that yellow building against the background, and this washed out grass, because obviously it's not very green at the moment, having had snow on it. But that looks stunning, doesn't it? Well, now, we were the only visitor in this car park. For a long time there's been another 2 cars joined us in the car park, so... But it's great. We didn't have to pay to come here. So in the winter, although all the buildings are closed, you can't get inside anything, and obviously there's no actors and what have you here. You can only walk around. And I think there's plenty to see when you walk around. It really is spectacular. So we had free entry, which is fabulous. I've no idea how much you have to pay in the summer, but we'll look that up and we'll put it on the screen for you. It's great. What a lovely place. The second siege of Louisbourg occurred in 1758 during the 7 Years' War, a broader conflict which lasted from 1756 until 1763. Louisbourg was protected by approximately 3,500 soldiers and 400 militia, with 14 vessels available for naval support. English forces included more than 13,000 troops and 43 ships, in addition to 150 transport vessels. Wow. This is the first entrance number 1, and we've just spotted, actually, if you come in that way, which we couldn't, but if you come in that way you go over the drawbridge to enter the fort. This building was the powder magazine. It was carefully designed to minimise the risk of explosion and hold up to 500 barrels of gunpowder. However, apparently it turned out to be a liability, as a Dauphin demi-bastion was vulnerable to heavy enemy fire. The gunpowder was removed to various locations, including the ice house, during the 1758 siege.
Well, that was the fortress of Louisbourg. How fascinating was that?
Oh, I thought it was brilliant. Really brilliant.
What a great place.
Yeah.
Definitely worth visiting, and even more so.
Any time of the year.
Yeah, it's been fabulous today, and it would be probably even better when it was open properly in the season. So you've got all the guides there, the people dressed up in their costumes.
Yeah, the buildings to walk into.
Yeah, it'd be great to be able to look inside.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done. What a fabulous place. Really, really good. Thank you very much. That was
trapped in there with all that.
Yes, we did.
We did, but we didn't mind. We'd have stayed longer if we could. No, it's fabulous.
I felt so bad because we didn't know what was happening.
No, that's absolutely cool.
Thanks for
Fabulous.
No, thank you.
Tremendous.
Brilliant.
What a beautiful place. Thank you for
Thank
everything.
you very much.
Great stuff.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Now then, if you come here off season and you get to this gate here and you think, oh no, the place is closed, don't worry, just carry on, follow the road round, and there's another gate with a very, very friendly lady who will help you out and let you in, and it's a tremendous place to visit. Don't get spooked by the closed gate that's just there.
At Little Narrows ferry terminus. Isn't this cute? Oh, and it's free. Wow, it's a free service. It's a very well used ferry. I think in the short time we've been sitting here, maybe 8 minutes, something like that, about 20 cars have gone backwards and forwards. So yeah, I think it's a very good service, well needed obviously in this area.
Here we are, pulling off the Trans-Canada Highway up to our second home that we now have here in Cape Breton. You guessed it.
Big Spruce Brewing.
Oh yes. So our third visit here. Now don't get the wrong impression.
It's just incredibly conveniently located.
It is.
I mean, it is wonderful as well, but
Yeah.
it is really well located for the things that we've been doing.
It is perfect location, but also it's a great welcome. They're fabulous people. It's really nice to just come and meet the people.
Yeah.
Here we are. Is that Jeremy?
Yeah, definitely.
Right,
Boom.
we're here. One more night. I promise this is the last time we'll be here.
It is. It's got to be. Because there's no way we'll be anywhere near here.
On this trip anyway.
Hi. Well, we've reached tonight's parka, but it's called Below the Salt. It's a distillery, and we're going to learn a bit more about it when we go inside. Here we are at last night's park up. It's a harvest host again. It's called Below the Salt Distillery, and it's hosted by a lovely couple called Vicky and Greg. And Vicky and Greg have put their heart and soul into this distillery, and they make their own spirits, gin, vodka, some variations of rum, and a really nice one that they're extremely proud of, and it's a honey sort of whiskey thing. I'm not a big spirit person, but even I was enjoying some of those spirits. Ben loved them, incidentally, and we had lovely conversation. It was just really great. It was like sitting and chatting to friends. Really, really lovely. So we highly recommend it, and we had a great night. Nice flat park up, and everything was lovely. So good luck to Greg and Vicky in their venture. I think they're going to be amazing, and I think you need to come and check it out. If you're driving this way, don't drive past, come in.
Did you get more taste of the grain coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's smoother.
So smooth. I can't drink spirits.
Until today.
No, go ahead.
Definitely can.
Yeah.
Right, here we are then, back in Nova Scotia. We had a first night after the ferry, back at our favourite brewery, Big Spruce Brewing.
We did, and there we met up with fellow campervanners, and the first campervanners we've seen in 5 weeks. So hello to Francoise and Sophie. Bonjour.
Fantastic.
They're from Montreal,
Yeah.
so that was good. And now we're off on our next part of the adventure. So we will see you next week, but don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave us comments. We love to hear from you,
Yeah, it's great hearing what you've got to say.
and we always answer them.
We certainly try. And we'll see you next week when we're exploring Prince Edward Island. Bye.
Bye.